Hi everyone, welcome back to my Turkey Tales. Last week I had left you with our second day in Istanbul when we had spent the entire day roaming around the Sultanahmet area looking at the Blue Mosque and the Hagia Sophia. Our lunch, our dinner, and then back to the hotel after a very long day. On our way back from our dessert dinner, we also stopped for tea and had the chai at the same tea house where we had it from previously, except for we were still sitting in the same restaurant where we sat last time, but the tea was not served there. It was coming in from a tea house which was a little further down the lane, and um, an accident happened. Farwa was drinking tea and her cup slipped. Obviously, it broke. But the owner was really chill about it. He didn't ask us to pay anything extra, but we still spent the entire evening roasting Farwa for it. Remember, I told you I didn't really sleep well the night of our second day, which meant that when I woke up on the third day, we were supposed to go to Galata Towers and Taksim Square, but that was the day that I woke up not happy. I was a little exhausted and feverish, and I wasn't really keen on doing too much today, but we still had a long day planned, and we decided to go and explore Istanbul after a quick breakfast. So today was the first day that we were going to try out the metro, and this was, I believe, our first experience overall. Even the entire group, between all of us, this was the first time we ever took a metro. So the first thing we did was get the Istanbulkart, which is the card, the metro card. Actually, it's the public transport card. You can use it for buses, you can use it for ferries, you can use it for the metro. So we got one of those, and then we had to top it up with some extra credit so that we could all swipe our entry into the metro. That's where our adventure began. We spent a good 15-20 minutes in front of the Istanbulkart, which is the machine where you get the card from, you purchase the card from, and then you also top it up from. It took us quite a while to figure out how to convert into English. So we spent like enough time trying to figure it out, and we like all of us put our heads together. In fact, Azmina and my sister decided to go to the information desk for the tourists, which was a little center sort close by, and go and ask them how to top this up. And because they don't really speak English that well, so it was like a whole language barrier, and they came back totally confused. So it took us a while to figure it out, and then we finally were able to do it, and then we all put in our money in it, so that we could use the Metro card, which was very exciting for us. There were a bunch of other tourists who came by who were using the machine next to us, and they seemed pretty confused about it too, and they asked us for help, and we were just as confused as they were, so we couldn't help them. But once we had our thing done, we were at the station of the metro, which is very close by because we're in the Circaci area, and that's where the metro stops. So we were at the metro station and we were trying to figure out how to get to Galata Towers. And Azmina got in touch with some guy who is, I believe, a Pakistani and who kind of helped us out with which route to take to Galata. So we took the metro to Galata and we did some little walking, which was pretty much like a hike. And because we were kind of exhausted, we took a lot of breaks. And when Google says 5 minutes in Istanbul, it doesn't really mean 5 minutes because the roads and the streets are like hills. So some of them are very steep, and you kind of take a while to catch your breath. And there are stairs somewhere, so you'll have to take the stairs and go up or go down. It's kind of confusing, but also an adventure. It took us like a good, I think, 30-40 minutes to reach Galata, even though we were on foot. And well, actually, we did take a bit of time walking up. We were taking pictures on the way. Every time we'd see some really nice, colorful street, or we'd see something interesting on the way, we'd just stop by and take pictures there. So it took us a while to get to Galata Towers. An incident that did happen was while we were walking up, Zaira, Azlina, and I saw this really beautiful green colored door, and we thought that looked very pretty. So we stood in front of that, and we decided to take some pictures. And there's this really nice gentleman who was in a shop right opposite us. He came out and asked us if we wanted to take pictures, and we said, yeah, sure. So we pretty much all of us gave our mobile, or maybe two of us gave him our mobiles for taking pictures. And during the picture while we were posing, I just thought if he ran away with our phone right now, we would totally be unable to follow him because the street is so steep, we would not be able to run up at all. Yes, but the Turkish people are pretty decent. They don't do things like run away with your mobiles. So he was a nice, friendly gentleman who helped us out with pictures, and I will probably always remember him because he was also very good looking and he was ready to help us take pictures. So I that moment is kind of stuck in my head as a memory. When we finally reached Galata, we inquired about the tickets and stuff. There was this dervish dance happening, which we wanted to witness, but it was happening in the evening. And since we were there in the morning, we couldn't wait that long, or we didn't really want to come back and experience it. So we just decided to go take a tour of the place. So we went right up to the top floor, got like a whole view of the entire Istanbul area, took some pictures, sat down, had some fun, and then we came down the stairs, looked around the museums and other artifacts that were there, and we finally finished that trip. San Sebastian was not a famous thing at that time. This was before, actually, it was right after COVID, or I'd say during the COVID. It was May 2020. So there was no San Sebastian. Unfortunately, we couldn't try it, but we did look around. We went to some local grocery to get some snacks, which was also an experience. I think when you're traveling to a different city, exploring their grocery stores and their local grocery is a lot of fun. You get to see so many different things that you usually don't witness in your own city. While we were at Galata, we saw these storm clouds come in and it started raining like cats and dogs. And it was then that I realized that regardless of what you see in the weather apps, the weather of Istanbul is going to change in a blink of an eye. Because when we were leaving in the morning, I had looked at my app and I figured that it was going to rain today, so I kept a raincoat in my bag, which was a sensible thing to do. But when we walked out, it was so sunny, we could barely open our eyes in the sun. So I decided to put away my raincoat because why carry the extra weight when it's so sunny, right? I regretted that decision when we were locked in Galata and it was raining like cats and dogs. But soon after, it had died down to a drizzle, which made the entire thing kind of feel very romantic. So we walked out, and our walk up to Taksim Square was in light drizzle, which kind of made it seem more romantic. When we reached Istiklal Street, Zaira and I wanted to go to the Museum of Illusions, and Farwa wanted to join us. Basma and Azmina decided to go window shop in the area. So we kind of split ourselves at the beginning there. And as soon as that was done, Zaira, myself, and Farwa, we went up to Starbucks again. It was such a novelty for us that we decided to go to Starbucks first and then make our way to the Museum of Illusions, which was close by. At the Museum of Illusions, we had a lot of fun. It wasn't really huge, so we spent about, I guess, 45 minutes there, but it was a lot of fun. It was the first experience we had with, a science kind of museum. I've visited the one in Sharjah. I think it's called the Museum of Science and Technology there. So a lot of things were pretty similar, but we enjoyed ourselves at the Museum of Illusions at the İstiklal Street in Istanbul, and I would recommend other people to try it out too. It's kind of an interactive experience, and you would definitely enjoy yourself. Once we wrapped up our adventure at the Museum of Illusions, we got out and we were thinking of how we can connect with Basma and Azmina and find them because Istiklal Street is generally a very long street, and we were just figuring out how we're going to find them when we saw them just right there. They were in a shop exactly opposite the Museum of Illusions, and we got to them and we asked why they're still here. and we figured that they hadn't actually gone window shopping. They were just moving around the area very close to the museum. So we all decided to do some window shopping together, and if possible, if you were able to find something, then we'd probably do some shopping together. So we went around these different shops. We looked around. There was this one brand that we wanted to check out. It is called Cotton. I think it's a local brand. It spells Kotton, and you get like fancy Western wear there. That is something that I spotted, and I called all the girls and I said, let's go there because this was something that we had done some research while we were in Pakistan, and we knew we had to go there and do some shopping. Another brand that we were constantly seeing was the LC Vakiki, which we thought was okay, another local brand, and their clothes were very up to date too. So while I was doing all this window shopping, I thought there is one thing that I really want, which is sweaters, because in Pakistan, sweaters are pretty expensive as compared to the prices that I saw in Turkey. And I said, let's get really stylish sweaters from Turkey. And another thing on my list after all that window shopping was getting myself boots, because the collection of boots in Turkey was really smart. At one store, I was trying out different things, like getting myself into different shirts and t-shirts and um, coats, because the coat collection was also very, very smart. You know how long coats are. They attract you. They scream at you to buy them. So I was trying out a bunch of things, and in my state of mind, where remember I was not feeling well today, I had a bit of fever. I put my phone in the pocket of one of the dresses that I was trying, and I forgot to take it out. And while I was trying multiple dresses, we were just supposed to leave all the dresses that we've tried out in the fitting room. And I got out, decided not to buy anything, and just went about waiting for the others to get free so that we could go back or probably go out for lunch. And a few minutes later, I realized I'm missing my phone. And I was panic stricken because I had all my contacts in there. I did not have any numbers memorized, and that was the only phone available to us with the internet connection on it. So I panicked for a bit, and then I went and asked for it. And well, luckily I found it because the Turkish people are decent people. Nobody stole my phone. They had it safe in their locker. And when I went and asked for it, they gave it to me. So that was quite an adventure for me, and also a wake up call where I was supposed to keep my mind open and eyes open and clear my head of all fog. Once this thing was done, we were done with the window shopping part. My sister did a bit of shopping. She was doing a lot of item collection for her daughter and for her in-laws. So she was the only one who was spending money on shopping. Even Farwa, she was buying a lot of things for her wedding. So these two were the only active shoppers in the group, while the rest of us were just killing time by trying things out and you know talking about things and comparing things most of the time. Once we did all this, we walked out, and right opposite this shop, we see another restaurant that was serving kumpir, which is baked potato with different stuffings on it. So we ordered two kumpirs, like two baked, huge sized baked potatoes with you get a choice of 10 um, toppings on it. And we chose two different toppings, and we had that between five of us, those two potatoes for lunch, which was pretty filling. After our kumpir, we walked around a bit some more, but I was very exhausted, and the other girl suggested that if I wanted, I could go back to the hotel to rest because I was looking very down and exhausted and feverish. So Zaira decided to come along with me, and we both went. We did some Google mapping, and we took our metro back to the hotel where I relaxed a bit, and Zaira actually went back to Shehzade Chick Kebab to get us dinner, which we had. I personally had in bed, and I relaxed. So that was a night I slept a little better. I had taken some medicines like Panadols and tried to sleep early so that I wake up a little fresh the next morning. For me, this was the end of the day where I returned to the hotel, changed, refreshed myself, had dinner, and went to sleep, taking medicines. But for Basma, Azmina, and Farva, there is still an adventure waiting, which obviously I'm not going to share with you right now. You'll have to come back next week to hear the story of that adventure. So until next week, you guys stick around and stay tuned to my Turkey Tales.